What's your addiction? That one thing nobody knows, but it controls you. The quiet routine that feels harmless until it starts hollowing you out from the inside. Terry Crews had one, and for a long time, no one knew. Not his wife, not his children, not the audience that saw him as a hero, because that's how most addictions work, in the dark, when no one's watching, when the lights go off and it's just you and your impulses. Terry was strong, famous, admired, but behind the muscles and the smile, he was hiding something that almost destroyed everything. So let me ask you, are you really in control of your life? Or does something quiet still pull your strings when no one's looking? In this video, you'll learn how Napoleon Hill described emotional sabotage, and how a man who looked unbreakable on the outside nearly lost everything because of a battle he never dared to name. Get ready to discover the invisible side of discipline. And the truth Hill knew well. Your real power starts when you stop lying to yourself. Before the fame, before the commercials, before the big smile and the even bigger muscles, there was a boy, Terry Crews, born in Flint, Michigan, a place where hope was rare and survival was a full-time job. His father was an alcoholic, abusive. His mother, deeply religious but trapped, afraid to leave and risk losing her children or her life. So Terry learned something early. Be quiet, endure, don't cry, don't speak, just hold it together. The pain wasn't to be processed, only pushed down. Art became his first escape. He won a scholarship to study drawing, but in college, something shifted. He saw an opportunity in football, and like everything else in his life, he pushed himself with full force. He made the team, got a full athletic scholarship, went to the NFL. People admired his strength, coaches respected him, teammates feared him. But here's the part no one saw. The stronger he looked on the outside, the weaker he became inside, because all the praise came from performance, from pretending, from being what the world wanted him to be. No one cared about how he felt, not even him. Napoleon Hill wrote, "The need for approval can build empires, but it can also trap the mind." Terry was trapped in the role of the strong man, the protector, the provider, the one who never breaks. And that pressure, that image, started to require a release. He found one, a habit, a secret. At first, it was nothing, a distraction, a way to cope. But it kept showing up late at night, in private moments, in silence. It became part of his routine, comfort, escape, reward. And the most dangerous part? It worked. It numbed the emotions, it delayed the questions, it gave him space to breathe without actually healing anything. From the outside, Terry was thriving. Big roles, big paychecks, big laugh, but at night, he was back in the place he never left as a boy, alone with something he couldn't admit. Because that's how most addictions grow. Not with chaos, but with control. Just enough control to keep pretending everything's fine. He thought he was in charge, but in truth, he was wearing armor, and like all armor, it only protects the outside. Terry Crews looked like a man in total control. After football came acting. And once again, he dominated the space through performance, huge presence, loud laughter, explosive energy. Hollywood loved that Terry. The public loved him too. He became the symbol of the funny, tough guy, always positive, always powerful. But behind that charisma, something was building, quietly, repeatedly, unseen. He had an addiction, not to drugs, not to alcohol, but to escape, specifically pornography. It started small, casual, normal, just a habit, like millions of others. But with time, it became the place he went whenever he didn't want to deal with life. Stress, escape. Emotional distance at home, escape. Feeling out of place, escape. And that's what makes this kind of addiction so dangerous. It doesn't crash into your life, it slides in. silently undetected. Napoleon Hill warned of this exact pattern. The habits you do not master will master you. And Terry's habit was winning. Because it was private, because it didn't look destructive, because no one could see it and he didn't want to. It gave him control, until it didn't. At home, he was distant, disconnected from his wife, easily irritated, emotionally flat. But on screen, still smiling, still making people laugh, still the man. That's the scary part. The world keeps clapping, even while you're falling apart. As long as you perform, no one questions what's underneath. Until one day, someone does. For Terry, that day came when his wife found out. The mask broke, the secret spilled. The strong man was exposed. She kicked him out. And in that moment, he realized this wasn't just about a habit, it was about a lie. A lie he'd been telling himself for years, that he was in control, that it wasn't a real problem, that it was just something guys do. But as Napoleon Hill wrote, the most dangerous habit is the one you defend while it's destroying you. Terry's world didn't collapse because of what he did. It collapsed because of what he refused to face. He had to stop. For real this time. No more hiding, no more jokes, no more pretending he was fine. Just a man facing the truth, alone, until he decided not to be alone anymore. When Rebecca kicked him out, the myth of Terry Crews shattered. There was no audience, no spotlight, no excuse that could cover what had finally come to light. He wasn't the strong guy, he was just a guy. One who had run out of places to hide, and this is where most men panic. They either double down on the lie or disappear into it. Terry did something different. He finally faced it. He went to therapy. He asked for help. He stopped acting strong and started getting real. It wasn't easy. He had to admit he'd been hiding behind his body, his jokes, his fame, and that none of it made him whole. Napoleon Hill said, "No man can achieve lasting success without mastering himself." Terry had mastered the world, but not himself, and it cost him the thing he cared about most: his marriage, his family, his peace. But this moment, this collapse, became his turning point. He started seeing the addiction for what it really was. Not a mistake, not a weakness, but a signal. A symptom of years of emotional repression, of trauma unprocessed, of a belief that strength meant silence. And for the first time in his life, he started telling the truth. First to himself, then to his wife, then to the world. He began practicing what Hill called auto-suggestion, deliberately reprogramming his mind every day with new beliefs, new behavior, new standards. He trained his brain like he used to train his body. Discipline, consistency, clarity. And slowly, he began to rebuild trust, not just with his wife, but with himself, because the hardest part of recovery isn't stopping the behavior. It's reclaiming your own identity after it has been wrapped around a lie for so long. But Terry was done hiding. Done performing. He didn't want to be the strong guy anymore. He wanted to be a free man. Free from the need to escape. Free from the shame of secrecy. Free to actually feel instead of numb. And that's when something beautiful happened. He and Rebecca started talking again, not as roles, but as people. Raw, vulnerable, honest. He began to reconnect with his children, not as a protector, but as a present father. And for the first time, he started living without the weight of a secret. Because the real burden isn't addiction, it's pretending you don't have one. And when he laid that burden down, he stood up taller than ever. Terry Crews could have stayed quiet. He could have healed in private. He could have rebuilt his marriage, kept his image clean, and moved on. But he didn't. Instead, he did the one thing most people never dare to do. He told the truth, out loud, to everyone. Not for sympathy, not for headlines, but because he knew someone out there was hiding just like he had. He went on national interviews, spoke at events, wrote about it, shared everything, the addiction, the consequences, the shame. And every time he spoke, something incredible happened. People listened because it wasn't a performance anymore. It was a man, raw and honest, finally free from the weight of secrecy. Napoleon Hill taught that pain becomes power when given direction. Negative energy, when transmuted through purpose, becomes the fuel of greatness. Terry turned his worst chapter into his greatest gift. He started helping other men, not to toughen up, but to break the silence. Because what he realized is something too many ignore. Most men aren't addicted to substances. They're addicted to silence, to repressing what hurts, to pretending they're fine, to hiding behind success. And silence is where most addictions grow. They feed on isolation, on shame, on the illusion that I'm the only one. So when Terry opened up, it was a signal to athletes, to husbands, to fathers, to anyone secretly losing themselves in what no one else sees. He made vulnerability safe, not soft, not weak, courageous. He redefined what real strength looks like, not just pushing through, but owning your truth, even when it's ugly. That's the kind of power Hill called applied faith, belief in yourself, not because of your perfection, but because of your commitment to grow through the imperfection. And that's what Terry embodied. He stopped running, stopped escaping, stopped hiding. And in doing so, he became stronger than ever, not because of what he showed, but because of what he no longer had to hide. This is the shift. From performance to presence, from secrecy to service, from addiction to alignment. He used the same discipline that built his body to rebuild his character. Because in the end, no amount of success matters if you're a prisoner to yourself. Terry Crews escaped that prison, not by kicking down the door, but by unlocking it with truth. Now he lives with clarity, with purpose, with nothing to prove and nothing to hide. Terry Crews used to be known for his body, his size, his smile, his strength, but now he's known for his honesty, because the real strength, it's not what you carry on your shoulders, it's what you carry inside and then finally choose to release. After coming clean, Terry didn't retreat. He didn't hide behind a new version of perfection. He kept sharing, kept showing up, kept telling the truth, even when it was uncomfortable. He understood something most people never do. If you want to stay free, you have to stop pretending, because pretending is exhausting. You live two lives, one public, one private. And eventually the private one catches up. Napoleon Hill said it best. No man can be truly rich unless he is rich in character. And character doesn't come from applause. It comes from who you are when no one's watching. Terry became obsessed with mastering that man. Not the actor, not the athlete, but the man in the mirror when the cameras are off. He stopped asking, "What do people expect of me?" and started asking, "What kind of man do I expect of myself?" That's where his real transformation happened. Because here's the truth, addiction doesn't destroy you overnight. It erodes you, slowly, silently, secretly, until one day you realize you're not making choices anymore. You're following impulses, but once you become aware, you can start choosing again. That's what Terry did. He rebuilt his identity around values, not habits, around presence, not performance, around truth, not perception. And what happened? He became more respected than ever, not for being perfect, but for being authentic. He showed that you don't need to hide your struggles to be strong. You just need to face them and keep walking. Today, he's still the same Terry in many ways. He still laughs loud, still commands the room, still inspires. But now it comes from a different place, not from needing to be admired, but from being at peace with himself. He doesn't need the applause anymore, because he knows who he is, even in silence. That's real strength. That's freedom. That's what Hill called mastery of self. And here's the challenge. Are you still pretending you're fine just because no one knows? Or are you finally ready to step out of the shadow and tell yourself the truth? Because your real life doesn't begin when others see it. It begins the moment you stop hiding from it. Let's go back to the question we started with. What's your addiction? That thing you run to when no one's around. That escape you pretend you don't need. That secret that quietly runs your life while the world claps for the version of you they think is in control. For Terry Crews, it was porn. But this isn't about the behavior. It's about what it represents. Avoidance, isolation, shame, lack of control. It's about having a habit that no one questions, not because it's harmless, but because you're too good at hiding it. And that's where the real danger lives. Terry's recovery didn't start the day his wife found out. It started the moment he stopped lying to himself. The moment he admitted, this isn't just something I do, it's something I use. To numb, to escape, to avoid. And when he stopped running, everything changed. That's why this video exists. Not to talk about Terry, but to talk about you. What are you using to distract yourself from your own growth? What do you keep doing, even though it's slowly pulling you away from who you want to be? Napoleon Hill wrote, "The man who masters himself is greater than the man who conquers the world." Terry learned to conquer himself, and the moment he did, he stopped being a performer and became a guide. He now stands as proof that you can mess up, fall apart, and still rise, clean, clear, and completely new. Not because you fixed everything, but because you finally stopped hiding. So let me ask you, are you living in the dark, hoping no one sees it, or are you ready to shine a light and finally take back control? If this video stirred something in you, if it hit that quiet spot you've been trying to ignore, then it's time to move. Subscribe to Mind's Blacksmith. This channel is about inner fire, discipline over impulse, freedom through self-mastery. We don't hype, we build. Drop a comment below. What is one habit you know is holding you back, even if no one else knows about it? Write it, own it. That's how the transformation begins, because the moment you stop hiding is the moment you become stronger than the thing that once owned you.